Alright, so let's talk about soil and the properties of soil. So when we look at soil, let me put my pointer on, that soil is a mixture of ground up rock. And what is that ground up rock you're talking about? Sand, silt, and clay are going to be most of those things that'll be ground up to make soil. Most of those rocks that you'll see ground up. Now, will you see other kind of minerals and other materials in there? Yes, you will. Now, that's going to be along with organic material, dead plants, dead animals, and waste like poop. And another thing that I can also add in here is and other minerals. So rocks, ground up rocks, organic matter, and minerals. Because not all of your minerals will be wrapped up in some sort of rock. Now, when we look at the three main types of soil, we're going to be looking at sand, silt, and clay. I know what you're saying. Do I have to draw a picture of this? Yes, you do, with perfect color. And now, when you have those soil types can be further subdivided into little smaller categories. Well, we'll have like peaty soil, loamy soil, sandy soil, chalky soil, clay soil, and silty soil. We're going to look at a picture of all three of those combined in together so that we can see how all of those are kind of made by looking at one big picture of sand, silt, and clay. Now, when we're talking about the properties of soil, well, we have this handy-dandy chart, which again, yes, in your notebook, copy it down, or, well, you'll be doing this tomorrow in class instead of doing the lab. So when we're looking at sandy soil, let me put my hand on my pointer, that this is what it is. It's coarse. Here are some of the things that it has in there, like sand and loamy sand, and the intake rate, the rate that it intakes water, and how it retains water. So when you look at this, you're going to be copying this down in your notebook, and we're going to be having questions based off of this. That the intake rate, the rate that is going to intake water, and then the water retention rate, the rate at which is going to hold water. And then once this drains, how is it going to drain off the soil? Once we start talking about weathering and erosion, that's going to this column right here is really going to make a lot of sense. And then the soil texture. When we do our lab, that's going to be something that we're going to be talking about. How does it feel? How does it feel? Is it coarse? Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it like baby powder? And then the components. The components are the things that it is made up of. You remember, like I told you, we have three main types: sandy, loamy, and clay soil. So when we're looking at, well, how do all those things get mixed together? Well, right here on this side, we're looking at silt, sand, and clay. And as we move our way to working towards loam, which is that good balance of all three of those types of rock, that we get to loam. By all three of these meeting together right here, we come to make loam. Now, well, how do we get there? Well, how do we get there is going to be a long process. As you see, that silt will be broken down to where it gets a smaller and smaller portion of silt as we're going this way. Put my thing back on my pointer. And then as sand breaks down or it mixes with these other three soil types, it becomes less and less sandy soil, and it becomes more of a sandy kind of clay type of soil, or a silty sandy soil, or a silty kind of clay soil. So when we go through our lab tomorrow, we're going to be looking at those combinations of trying to combine some sand with some silt and see what happens. Or we try to mix some clay with a little bit of sand and a little bit of silt and see what happens. And that way we can kind of see Well, how do the properties of a soil change based on how much of sand we mix with silt and clay? Make sure that you have this picture in your notebook, because we are going to be talking about this, because we are going to try to make our own soil and see what kind of properties it has. And well, that is the end of our video. See you next time.